To be completely honest, I am not at all surprised by this news. Now, it is just a rumor at this point in time. I'm just a little bit surprised why it took so long, because we've known for a long time the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, well, it was the best performing Star Wars show on Disney Plus. Now, that's not exactly a high bar, and when you compare it to other like series, it's, not exactly an apples to apples comparison, but in the pantheon of Star Wars shows, yeah, there's a huge gap between Obi-Wan and I think it's Mandalorian Season 2. Like, it is far and away the biggest hit. So, given the fact that this thing first came out in, 2022? The fact that there has been no serious talks about this thing getting a second season until now, an absolute dead point in Star Wars, I mean, it's a little bit interesting, but I got a couple of theories here, okay? So just follow me along. A couple of Star Wars theories, if you will. Sorry, I'm just, not as much of a blue-pilled cuck. Somehow, Obi-Wan Kenobi may return for Season 2 on Disney+. Let's check this out. Yeah, Disney Plus's Star Wars offerings are routinely thrown up in the air when it comes to whether they'll get more seasons. Yeah, The Mandalorian and Andor are done. Boo, Mando with its movie. God, that's going to be... Ooh, it's going to be a kick in the ass for Star Wars, huh? The Acolyte was canceled. Oh no, and the Book of Boba Fett is definitely dead. No, Tamura Morrison wants a second season, mostly so that he can take a few episodes of a theoretical Mandalorian Season 4, because the Mando stole 2 of his 6 episodes of that. Goddamn, man, the Book of Boba Fett is... God, that's interesting, because the Acolyte was, like, it was really bad, but... Prior, like, if we take the Acolyte out of the equation, because I think that that's the cheat answer if you were to ever just say, okay, what's the worst in the, what's the worst Star Wars? Acolyte. Okay, no, on different level. No, Acolyte performances, the Acolyte plot, adherence to the lore, its ability to break canon, that's all Acolyte. Even though I would say, Obi-Wan does have a pretty good case for threatening to ruin canon, especially, just Obi-Wan, who in, Star Wars proper was simply referred to by Leia as, a friend of my father during the time of the Clone Wars. Not at all mentioning, their multi-planetary, month-long trek throughout the galaxy of him saving her from Sith Inquisitor kidnappers. Yeah, don't mention that at all, or how there were 2 lightsaber battles with Darth Vader, how, all of that was worth it so that we could figure out that, Obi-Wan had finally wrestled with the idea that his friend was dead, and, they had to shoehorn in a way that, it makes sense that, because in Star Wars, he called him Darth, okay, instead of Vader or Anakin. We have to figure out why he would call him Darth. It's because Anakin said, you didn't kill Anakin, I did. And then he said, well, then my friend is truly dead then. Oh, goodbye, Darth. And then he leaves Darth Vader alive on that stupid flat planet that was definitely not just the volume screen. No, they just left him alive so that he would go on and blow out more planets and wreak more havoc over the galaxy for the next 10 years. He had a very smart idea. Definitely didn't character assassinate Obi-Wan over and over again with every successive episode. Definitely wasn't an infuriating watch time and time again. But no, it's great. It's so great. Anyways, back to this. Who knows what happened with Skeleton Crew? All right, nobody watched it. Legitimately, it didn't track at all whatsoever when it released, and never popped a rating on any tracking service, and it was gone and forgotten even before its finale. I didn't hear anybody talk about this outside of the first couple of episodes, but yeah, it's a great show. But literally, yeah, anybody who did watch it said that no, it's not great, it's like a 4 at best. But yeah, the only confirmed show getting a Season 2 is Ahsoka, which is it's very much going to be a tie-in in a way that we can weave a theoretical Obi-Wan Season 2 with what's happening with Season 2 of Ahsoka. But follow me for a second, okay? But now there's some potential developments in the series not mentioned above. Obi-Wan Kenobi. A new report from insider Daniel Richman says that Season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi is in development at Lucasfilm. Now, what exactly does that mean? Are they knocking around ideas for the script? Are they, at the casting phase? Like, where exactly are they right now? Or are they just simply going, oh God, we have nothing coming out, okay? And like, we just, killed off the one reliable cash cow in the form of The Mandalorian by spinning it off into a movie that's going to make, at best, like $400 million. So what do we got? Can we do Season 2 of The Acolyte as a content creator? Fucking please. How about the Book of Boba Fett Season 2? No. The Obi-Wan Season Can Ewan finally get his wish? Okay, can we phone up Moses Ingram and then we can have another Reva story? Because it's not going to be okay. Like even in our wildest dreams, okay, just imagine like the Obi-Wan show. Okay, like season 2 starts up and it starts at that same meat cutting facility that Obi-Wan was working on in the first season, and it just completely and totally shit cans the first season. That would be funny as fuck. And it's a proper story about how Obi-Wan becomes Ben Kenobi. It's just this little closed off story about the trials and tribulations of Obi-Wan perhaps trying to subvert an Inquisitor who got a lead on a Jedi that was on Tatooine, and perhaps somebody that is vaguely connected to somebody at the higher echelons of the Empire, so he has to protect Luke in that respect. Like, just imagine something coherent instead of a diverse Inquisitor somehow redeems herself by not killing Luke Skywalker. It was a very well written show, and she got stabbed in the gut twice and lived. Oh, and so did the Grand Inquisitor, because anger will do wonders for the will to live. God, he had a fucking flumpy voice. But anyways, the show, that first aired in 2022, and it's being in development would probably mean that there's a 4 to 5 year gap between the seasons at least, because that's how Disney Star Wars works now. Fucking God, man. Obi-Wan Kenobi had a solid enough 81% score from critics, but also Ironheart is 85%. The Acolyte was also at similar levels, but a much lower 61% score from fans. But everybody liked that third episode when Obi-Wan and when Obi-Wan and Vader, squared off for the first time in that quarry. Then when they landed on that planet, well, Obi-Wan got there first, and then Vader came out and he said, "So you've come to destroy me." It's like, okay, Vader hops off of his, ship and immediately tries to gaslight Kenobi. Really strong first move that you have there. Okay, apparently it wasn't just your limbs that was taken, it was also your common sense back on Mustafar. Anyways, but its ratings were decent, and has been well documented that it stars Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen are itching to return for more. And McGregor has been on the stump at different cons talking about, I really want to do this. I really want to do this. And the fact that they didn't do it, it's like, what in the blue hell? It doesn't make any sense, man, because this actually is easy money. Especially with the way that, current Star Wars is going, where it's just all key jangling, and you're trying to tell a story that would be perfect for the characters at the ages that they are. Like, it makes all the sense in the world, but because, Dave Filoni was just a high-level boss, and because this, Obi-Wan isn't the, body pillow that he sleeps next to at night. No, it's that little orange fucker with the stupid twizzly skin pigtails and her goofy-ass white lightsabers. That's why that didn't immediately go into production, because even as trash as it was, okay, you set up enough plot threads that were out there. If you were going to do the first season for whatever reason about Obi-Wan looking after Leia, the second season could have been about Qui-Gon and how he overcomes his grief and looking after Luke. And now that I say that, is just what we ended up getting in replacement of that is just such squandered opportunity cost, and it's really just, it's sad shit. But anyways, it also remains to be seen how Christensen could return as Vader, as it would be yet another interaction between the two characters in the events of A New Hope. But you could be telling two different stories at the same time. You could be seeing how brutal and violent that Vader is getting under the stewardship of the Emperor, and then you could also see how Qui-Gon is shaping Obi-Wan and how they're both going apart. Like, you could be telling two different stories at the same time. You don't have to have them meet in some absolutely clunky fucking fight sequence that everybody outside of just going, "Oh my God, I remember both of those people, it was so great." Like, instead of placating the seals, you could just simply do something fun. Or hell, maybe you can even do some flashback stuff to really fill in some of the gaps that the prequels unfortunately left, because they kind of squandered the first movie with young Anakin, and then it just kind of glossed over this deep friendship that was built over years between Anakin and Obi-Wan. But now we're just theory crafting at this point in time. But yes, those guys really want to come back, man. And apparently they will be for Ahsoka Season 2 whenever that comes around, because we've talked about this before, mostly because it just makes my stomach churn. Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Ariana Greenblatt, who is young Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds sequence from episode 5 of Ahsoka season 1 are rumored to star in Star Wars Ahsoka season 2. And there's also there's supposed to be a Padme cameo, which definitely isn't infuriating at all. Last week, this was earlier this year, we talked about this before, Jeff Snyder said that Rory McCann, who has gone on to be confirmed to recasting the late great Ray Stevenson and replacing him as Baylan Skull. So unfortunately, okay, you won't have Ray Stevenson anymore, but if he could just channel a little bit of the Hound in Balin, is like, that could be really great. Like if we could just have this, space chicken, or maybe just a porg eating scene where he talks about, if I keep on getting interrupted, okay, he's gonna do certain things and he's gonna say certain things. Like that could be fun. We could do, oh, but right, this is a modern day Disney Star Wars. We don't do fun, we just do key jangles. But yes, Ewan McGregor would be appearing in the second season for of Ahsoka as Obi-Wan Kenobi in Clone Wars flashbacks. And it could be joined by Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, Ariana Greenblatt as young Ahsoka Tano. So yeah, great. We're going to be getting more world between world stuff. That's so fantastic. Instead of, proper Force Ghost Obi-Wan, or I don't know, just maybe leaving those guys out and developing some of those stupid Rebels characters that didn't really have characters. Trying to repair Thrawn so he doesn't just seem like a coping fucking dork. Like, you could do all that stuff, but no, just wheel out all the member berries. You don't have to tell a story when you can just make people member things. Yay, because that's a good substitute for storytelling, right? Well, it worked for Star Wars for a point, because I would say, like, Ahsoka Season 1 was probably the turning point, okay? Like, everybody clapped when, oh my god, it's red, and he Vadered. Everybody loved that, and then they realized that, oh shit, there's another half of this episode, and you got goofy-ass space whales that look like Pixar abominations, Pixar rejects, and they can travel through hyperspace. Bro, they're fucking whales flying through space. How do they even evolve to do anything like that? It's just so fucking dumb. But no. Now you're gonna have Night Sisters come to the real galaxy, and Ezra and Hera are gonna have to team up with Chopper to delay Thrawn's advancements into rebuilding the Empire, while Ahsoka and Sabine battle Shin and Balin and use Mortis. And fucking god, that all just sounds so ass cancer. But hey, there's gonna be a couple of episodes where you can, see the prequels, because everybody loves the prequels now, even though the Disney, the first thing that they ever had in a Disney Star Wars project was, this will begin to make things right. But now all of a sudden, ooh, you know what's right? The prequels. We love all of that stuff. God damn it, this shit sucks ass. But at least it's going to be a little while. And here's what I'm thinking, right? Because, okay, for as much as, Hayden and Ewan and Natalie and Ariana, they're just all rumors at this point in time, okay? I'm kind of thinking, okay, with Dave Filoni ostensibly being the heir apparent for Kathleen Kennedy whenever she does leave, which I actually have it on good authority. She just left Lucasfilm a couple of hours ago, but she's also going to be returning on Monday after the long weekend. So shucks, Dave is just going to have to wait a couple more months. But apparently, oh no, her contract's going to be up in October, okay? I have it on good authority. There's somebody that's out there that said something, and yeah, she's definitely leaving this time, guys. Yeah, 100%. She wants to leave on an up note, but if she wanted to do that, especially with the critical praise of Andor Season 2, yeah, she's going to be waiting a while now, because apparently the next thing, because we know the next thing that's coming out, Mandalorian and Grogu, okay? Like, that's going to be the first film in just about 7 years. 6.5 years since The Rise of Palpatine, the first movie in Star Wars that is going to have Pedro Pascal on the heels of the Fantastic Four, which I don't know for sure, but it really looks like that thing's going to flop spectacularly. But more on that in the future, of course, as always. But he's going to be helming another franchise and another incredibly important film. But before that, like, there's a couple of cringe animated shows. That's it. Maybe. I don't even know. And those things don't chart, and they don't matter at all whatsoever in the grand scheme of things. That's not a diss on animation. I do love me some, animation full stop. But whenever people, and we just seen it before, whenever people talk about the Star Wars shows that are out there, it's all the live action stuff, for better or for worse. What's the next thing on the release docket? Apparently Ahsoka Season 2. And yeah, some disappointing news. Well, some realistic news about this, apparently. So Disney Star Wars plans are all over the place. Even the recent event laid out a number of upcoming movies as the series will head back to theaters. Yes, sort of. We've heard this before situation. You have Mandalorian and Grogu finished filming. And then even at Celebration back in April, when all of the scuttlebutt was going out, oh my god, there's going to be a Maul animated show. It's going to be so great. Wonky-eyed, Ryan Gosling's going to be playing an X-Wing fighter pilot, which is like, that's very dangerous, but okay. That's probably going to be inoffensive and trash. It's probably going to be on the same level as like Skeleton Crew, to just having absolutely zero cultural impact. Hey, it's from the director who gave you Deadpool and Wolverine, because everybody remembers that film fondly, right? Wasn't just another key jangling disaster, but hey, at least that is set 15 years after Rise of Palpatine, so unless you want to use some of the sequel trilogy cast as key jangles, it's going to be tough to pull any rabbits out the hat there, so you might have to stand alone and tell your own story. Good luck on that one. I'm also kind of thinking, is that just a repurposing of Patty Jenkins' old Rogue Squadron movie, given the fact that it's good, that it's titled Starfighter, and it's supposed to be a standalone Rebel or Resistance or New Republic fighter I don't know, man. Who cares? It's years off, and I don't even know if they've begun principal photography. But speaking of which, Ahsoka Season 2 has only just started filming now. Yeah, at the end of April. Shit. Delayed in part because of the development of Mandalorian and Grogu, it seems. The announcement was just made as Rosario Dawson showed, yes, a shadowed picture of herself in costume. The timeline here is frustrating, as at the worst end of the streaming era gaps. Yeah, exactly, as we're starting to figure out that, oh boy, people still, okay, even though, you know, there's still a lot of people cutting cords, okay, cable subscriptions continue to go down, we're finding out very, very rapidly that people still want that yearly content. At most, they'll wait 18 months, but there's a gigantic drop-off to people if they're watching something regularly, if they're watching something on a weekly model. If you take far too long, it's way too difficult to get people that they might have even liked the first season of something, but to get them to come back and watch something week on week, they might just wait until everything's all out and then just binge it in the aftermath, because if you don't keep people's attention, you're not entitled to their watch hours, and that's what we're finding out very quickly. Okay, Ahsoka Season 1 aired in August of 2023, almost 2 years ago right now. If filming is only just beginning now, and the post-production to release is likely to be over a year, Ahsoka's first season of Ahsoka started filming in May of 2022, so that's 15 months until Season 1 came out, and given the fact that these are very content devoid episodes of television that only run about 30 to 40 minutes, and there's only about 8 of those motherfuckers, and it takes you 15 fucking months from the start of principal photography to turn this shit around. The Lucasfilm really cannot make television. Like, this is wild to think about. So yes, if you want to keep that on the same timeline, because this is mostly how these Star Wars shows go, at least the ones that are quote-unquote planned out, it's going to take another 15 months. So yeah, at earliest, you might see it this time next year. So this could be coming out after Mandalorian and Grogu. So what? That's going to be a setup for Dave Filoni's OC, the second season of that. And then we're supposed to be getting all of these key jangles for a bunch of characters that might end up returning in Obi-Wan. So we're going to be using both Mandalorian and Grogu and Ahsoka Season 2 as a test ground as to whether or not Obi-Wan Season 2 is viable. Because that's what I'm thinking out here, okay? They want to reintroduce these characters because it's been so fucking long since we have seen them, gauge the interest from the public, and figure out whether or not that shit is viable. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they're trying to lay the groundwork and figure out what exactly we have to do, because after this, they have a lot of projects that have been announced, but do they have anything in development? Mandalorian and Grogu, post-production. Theoretically, Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling, they're going to be starting up their movie any day now. Okay, Ahsoka Season 2, I would imagine filming has probably wrapped, or is at least considerably closer to the end than it is the beginning, given that, yeah, we're here at the beginning of July and filming had started at the beginning of May. Yeah, it's going to be a minute before we see anything happen, and especially in regards to, Obi-Wan Season 2, I wouldn't count on seeing anything or hearing anything about this for a while. Maybe at the tail end of the release schedule of Ahsoka Season 2. Or perhaps if they have a rogue creative, like the director for the Rey movie, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, come out and run her gums, make the brand even worse than it is, that they have to go ahead and fast-track the project that they might have been slow-rolling in the background. We'll wait and see, I guess. Totally believe this is happening. It's just, when is it going to happen? Maybe they're just waiting for all of these, actors to be of the appropriate age where they can just, repurpose them into redoing the original trilogy. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.